Welcome to PNC Stadium in Houston, Texas, as we get set to go between Racing Louisville and the Houston Dash. Hello, everyone. Alongside former Manchester United keeper Gary Bailey, I'm Maura Sheridan. Glad to have you along with us on this international feed. Racing Louisville, a team that has not won in 10 straight games. And on the flip side, Houston, 3 straight wins. And so these two teams kind of trending in the opposite directions, getting ready to clash. See the referee today, Katya Koroleva, is the head referee, legendary referee, also refs a lot of international CONCACAF games. And we see Houston in orange, their classic orange kits, and in white, the roadside in Racing Louisville. They've got the mint shorts as well. Already have a tangle up on the sideline. See Nichelle Prince in there for Houston. Of course, one of the many scoring options that the Dash have been able to find. 5 goals for Nichelle Prince this year. Of course, 3 came in one game, a hat trick against Orlando.
It's a wonderful forward line, isn't it, with Nichelle Prince on the right, Ebony Salmon in unbelievable form. 6 goals in the last 3 games. It's brilliant. And Maria Sanchez on the left was a great supplier of chances. So going forward, Houston Dash, as you said, 3 wins from 3, everything going right for them. Racing Louisville, they've got to win this one. If they don't, then their chances of making the playoffs, which are already extremely tenuous, become virtually nil. So massive day today for Kim Bjorkegren and his Racing Louisville side.
Yeah. Racing Louisville in 9th in the league right now. Of course, things will shake up too because this is a Friday game and there's a bunch of games coming up this weekend. This is the only match in the NWSL today. And then on the Houston side, they're sitting pretty and 3rd in the league. And again, they are dealing with a lot of changes over the course of the season. And it was announced this week that Rachel Daly is officially moving on from Houston as Jane Campbell floats this one out. Rachel Daly's in the stands today. And of course, she's a legend with the Dash, but she played the Euros with England. Obviously, it was such a successful campaign. England won the Euros, an absolutely fantastic moment for her and for her country. And it seems like that kind of moved the needle for Daly, who had been wanting to go home. And so she signs with Aston Villa. And so she is in the stands, and it was announced this week, and they will have a ceremony to just, thank Rachel Daly for all that she had done for the club. She had 4 goals this year already, and so now they're going to try to trek on without her.
7 years she's been at the club, 116 appearances, 42 goals, as you said, a legend, Rachel Daly. So sad to see her leave the NWSL, but I'm sure England will welcome her at an awesome time for women's football in England.
Sanchez will take this corner for Houston, up in the air, headed down, punched out, and Groom saved on the goal line. Boy, that was almost the first goal, as just saw Racing Louisville able to get in front of that.
Now, Katie Lund coming for that cross and not able to hold it. I think it was Natalie Jacobs who clashed with her and the ball came loose, and it was just a big scramble as Racing Louisville tried to clear their lines.
Sanchez. See Ryan Garris floating back here for Houston. We were wondering where Garris was going to fit into this lineup today for the Dash. Service from Sanchez, Groom towards net, and Lund is able to pick it up out of the air.
Wonderful ball in again from Sanchez. She's done that so many times. It was the match against Gotham 2 games ago where she put in a similar ball and Shea Groom headed home in superb style. So that combination of Sanchez out on the left, Shea Groom bombing through the middle, and works so well for Houston Dash. And of course the other option is Salmon's pace up front. So good luck Racing Louisville dealing with that combination of strikers.
Well, it's been a problem for a bunch of teams so far. Again, a 3-game winning streak for Houston. As you see Rachel Daly in the stands right now supporting the Dash. It's the first time since 2016 that she's been in the stands watching a game or, not been available for another reason besides injury or international duty. So just definitely a sweet goodbye for Daly, but they're going to miss her a lot. And They're very happy, I think, that they traded for Ebony Salmon. Here she comes. Long ball ahead to Ebony Salmon. She has time in the box, takes a shot. Lund with the kick save. Off the rebound, it's cleared out. Here's another opportunity.
That's a good chance for Ebony Salmon, and she's been tucking those into the back of the net, but you just mentioned the trade. I'm just wondering how Racing Louisville feel about having traded her to Houston Dash. 6 goals in the last 3 matches. Beautiful ball forward, and they try and pick her up because of her pace. She had time. She was coming under a little bit of pressure at the end there from Sitara Murray. I still fancied it. See, she's waiting on her right foot. She doesn't want to hit it with her left, and that just slows the process down. But what a trade she's turned out to be, and for Racing Louisville, they could have done with her skills. And I guess there were reasons for them for trading. I was going to say selling, but it's more trading in the USA. Yet they must be looking at it now and thinking, maybe we should have held on to her.
Well, she scored in 3 consecutive, and like you said, Ebony Salmon, June 27th, she was traded from Racing Louisville to the Houston Dash. She requested that trade after only playing 5 games this year with Racing Louisville under Bjorkegren. She had 6 goals in 2021. She was their leading scorer in their first year and decided to move on. Bjorkegren and Racing Louisville agreed to trade Ebony Salmon, and she immediately said, the first quote that she gave was, "I'm going to show what I can do here in Houston," and I think she's done that and then some.
Yeah, and trading a 21-year-old with such a great future ahead, it's you know, well, strange things happens in trade. You're not quite sure what Racing Louisville got back in return for it, but just looking at the numbers right now and looking at their desperate need, Racing Louisville, for goals and victories, I'm sure they wish they could turn the clock back and just keep her. But that's been done now, and they've got to find other ways to score, Racing Louisville, and they do have Nadia Nadim. By the way, I was surprised Jess McDonald on the bench and not starting. For me, she's a wonderful player, and I'm just a little bit surprised they haven't found space for her on that starting lineup, but maybe she'll come off the bench to great effect in the second half.
And Nadim's first game after tearing her ACL, her and McDonald started to combine really well, and then it all culminated in her second match against Washington. Nadim came in off the bench, and both of her goals came from assists that Jess McDonald had. So they do combine very well. We've seen glimpses of it this year. Through the middle now for Houston. Prince out wide, goes to work again. 5 goals for Nichelle Prince in the box. Now Vigiano broken up, takes a shot, flicks it up towards net, and it hits the top of the netting.
Vigiano a little bit frustrated with herself. I think she felt she could have done better there, Marissa Vigiano. I thought it was a very good response. The ball comes to her quickly from Nichelle Prince. She just controls it there, and then on the half volley, she's not far away. Maybe that's what she was frustrated about. It was a good strike, and she was just hoping it would sail into the top corner.
See Katie Lund, the keeper for Racing Louisville. She's had a nice stretch. And honestly, Racing Louisville probably should have lost to OL Reign 2 games ago. But Katie Lund had 12 saves.
Probably.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they definitely should have lost.
They got absolutely hammered.
Yes, and still came out with a draw. 1-1 the final score in that one. And again, Lund with an NWSL record, 12 saves in that match, and then followed up with 4 the other day against Washington, another 1-1 draw.
Therein lies the problem for Racing Louisville. If you're relying on your goalkeeper to have blinding performances just to get a draw from a match, then you're in all sorts of trouble. Already here on the front foot, Houston Dash. And they're also good at the high press, something that interim coach Juan Carlos Amoros likes. He likes his players to put teams under pressure, and you've seen already it's very difficult for Racing Louisville to play out of the back.
See Koroleva have a quick word with Shea Groom. Again, Amoros, his first game was game 1 of that winning streak. He's the only coach that has come into the league and won their first 3 matches. Chidiac for Racing Louisville. See Nadia Nadim splits the defense. Ultimately swiped away here. Sanchez the other way for Houston.
And if he gets a 4th victory today, it'll be the first time in Houston Dash history. Only one of the 7 teams were around in 2016 who haven't had a 4-match winning streak. So maybe this is a day that Juan Carlos Amaros puts that right.
Sanchez has some options. Salmon up the middle, back to Sanchez. Murray got in front of that. No call. Racing Louisville going the other way. Here's Savannah DeMello. Talk about rookies that have meant a lot to the league. Savannah DeMello has 3 goals. Was Rookie of the Month in July in the NWSL. Jane Campbell. Chip to Garris.
We just saw Garris there, Ryan Garris. The only change from the team, the Houston side that beat OL Reign 2-1 away. Alicia Chapman out, not even on the bench. Ryan Garris coming in. Also one change for the Racing Louisville side that drew 1-1 with Washington last match. Alex Chidiak, the Australian, in for Freya Olofsson.
Yeah, Chapman has a concussion, so Garris is in. That's really the only injury that's not a season-ending injury that Houston has right now. And then for Racing Louisville, there's nobody out with an injury or on international duty or anything.
It's a new back 3 formation for Racing Louisville, as well as they try and find the sort of magic formula to get on the winning trail. It's no wins in 10, just the 5 draws. So they've gone for 3 at the back. As you can see from the situation, there's Gemma Bonner, Sotara Murray, and Emily Fox, and then out wide, Julia Lester on the right, and Lauren Millay as the wing back. So call it 3 at the back, 5 at the back, however you want to do it. But generally speaking, they push the wing backs up. So Kim Bjorkhagen just trying to find something that can get his team a win and a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, Fox usually plays out wide for Racing Louisville, so this is kind of a new spot for her. And Millay has been a utility player. She's pretty much played every spot on the pitch for Racing Louisville this season alone. And of course, Lauren Millay, this is at just 25 years old, her 50th game with the club, and that's because she hasn't missed a game in 2 years.
Which is how long the club's been around.
Right.
She's played every single match.
She is their most stable player.
Well, yeah. And that's phenomenal. Over a season and a half to not miss a single match it's a sign of professionalism, taking care of your body, and I guess a little bit of luck as well with injuries.
Yeah, that's counting Challenge Cup games as well. So just extremely consistent, as now her team will get a corner. Jane Campbell gets prepared, and DeMello, of course, will take this for Racing Louisville. Again, 10 straight games without a win. Trying to do it on the road. Intended for Bonner, was a little bit low and cleared out by Houston, still rolling up that touchline before it finally goes out. A lot of times you'll see Racing Louisville go to Gemma Bonner through the air. That was the attempt there. It's worked before, although it was kind of a low kick, and she was able to knock it in with her heel off a corner earlier this season, her lone goal, that center back spot. And then a couple of games ago, against OL Reign, she went up for one, knocked heads with a defender, and ended up getting stitched up at halftime. Tons of blood, and Bonner did not miss a minute of play. She hasn't been out at all. Just an absolute gamer is Gemma Bonner. From Lund.
It's a bit better from Racing Louisville now. The first 10 minutes they were under the cosh. They were just being pressured by Houston Dash every which way. Now that pressure isn't coming as quickly or in as much strength, and they're getting a little bit more time on the ball, and a chance such as now to see if they can win the ball and they can apply a high pressure. Look at the white shirts here, and they do win it and give it away.
Well, the one downside in this stretch for Houston has been that in the last 2 games, they've gone down. Now, they've ended up winning those games, but of course they would not like to find themselves, on the front foot, having scored first. So I'm sure that's something that Amaros mentioned, as Garris has some space. Prince on the left side this time, tries a cross. We got a corner.
Good play from Michelle Prince there, just that ability to see the gap and get into the box and cause problems. Such a good player in that sense. But just go back to your last point about them being behind against Louisville Reign, as we see here. She just sees that bit of green grass and goes in for it and forces the players to come across and have to make lunging stops. But you go down against Louisville Reign away from home and come back and win. You go down against Gotham away from home and win. That's impressive.
Towards the back post, sails up, and that ricochets off Nadia Nadim. And so we'll get a corner on the other side.
Just to finish that point then about Houston Dash, 2 away wins, both having fallen behind. And again, of all of them, Louisville Reign away is a very intimidating place. So there's something special going on with Juan Carlos Amaros in this Houston Dash side. A win today, and it'll take them 1 point behind the leaders with another 3 home games to come in the next 4.
From Sanchez, it's up. Nothing much there. Reset for Prince. Salmon, way high. Then Ebony Salmon has scored in 3 straight games. It's the only 3 games that she's played with Houston. She had a hat trick in her first game against Chicago, and a goal against Gotham, and then a brace against Louisville Reign. One was a PK, and then of course the game winner, and it was within 2 minutes of each other for Salmon.
Rachel Daly looking on, and she must be looking at Ebony Salmon's figures of 6 and 3 years. Take away the 2 penalties. That's 4 in open play in 3 matches. So she's probably feeling, I mean, she must have a great love for this club after 7 years and being the star player. She probably feels that she's leaving it in good hands at a time when there's good prospects for Houston Dash going forward.
Yeah, definitely passing the torch off to Ebony Salmon. And Daly did give a press conference right before this match, and she basically said, I think I'm a little bit more emotional than I thought I would be, just being here and watching from the stands. Such an odd place to be for Rachel Daly, and again, they will honor her at halftime. DeMello trying to earn it back. Jacobs won't budge. Now, Nichelle Prince charging forward for Salmon, and Leicester gets there first.
That's the right idea by Nichelle Prince, but the execution of that final pass has got to be right into the space for Ebony Salmon, and it wasn't. But those 2 up front with their pace, wow, they're trouble.
Prince takes a shot, and it's blocked away. Bonner got in front of that one, still in the area, and Howell is able to get it out of trouble. Jalen Howell, the rookie for Racing Louisville. DeMello attempts the long ball. Kirsten Davis. Offside. Kirsten Davis does have a goal this year for Racing Louisville. It came a couple of games ago against Louisville Reign. That is what led to the draw, and it was her first NWSL score. In fact, you know, we talk about Racing Louisville and Nadia Nadim, 4 goals in 6 games. But the problem is, in those 6 games, it's pretty much only been Nadim. Chidiak has a goal, and Davis has a goal, and that's it. So 6 goals in 6 games for Racing Louisville. And with some of the offenses that we've seen across the NWSL this year, that a goal a game is probably not going to cut it.
Yeah, which again is why I'm surprised Jess McDonald isn't starting, because she does score goals, but maybe the coach feels he needs more in midfield to stop Houston Dash from dominating.
Prince swerving through. Nice tackle put on by Emily Fox. 2 very strong international players. Of course, Emily Fox, a part of the U.S. women's national team, and Prince is one of the mainstays with the Canadian women's national team.
You start to get worried for Racing Louisville. There's been a couple of corners, or more than a couple, 3 or 4. The pressure's coming from Nichelle Prince and Ebony Salmon with their pace. Maria Sanchez has put a few good balls in. It's looking like it's going to be a tough match for the visitors.
Sanchez through the air, intended for Schmidt. Nadim trying to keep it in here for Racing Louisville. Malay, some pressure. Jane Campbell's way out. DeMello. Collides with Vigiano. DeMello keeps on going. Give and go with Chidiac. Campbell off her line a little. Lofted up, and Jane Campbell has it covered.
Jane Campbell's going to catch those all day long. Goalkeeper as good as that. That's way too close. You can see the idea though, but a nice bit of positive play though, coming in from Racing Louisville. But here they go again, Houston Dash.
Salmon again. Sanchez on the right. Looking for numbers. Sanchez goes to work off that wing. Puts a cross into Prince. Murray gets in front. And now Julia Lesser will track it down here for Racing Louisville. Again, Racing Louisville has conceded 22 goals this year. On the flip side, they've scored just 16. Hence just the 2 wins. They've got 7 draws as well. Again, time is a ticking to get above that playoff line. Would need a run. Even Bjorkegren mentioned it in his press conference following the last match against Washington. He said, look, we're going to have to win probably 6 of our last 7 games. So it starts right now. It's a lofty goal, but I guess not unheard of.
I think that's an understatement, a lofty goal. It's so difficult in this league. Look at the games they've got coming up. They've got Chicago Red Stars next. They're tough. Then North Carolina Courage away, who want to go on a run themselves. As we see this header coming back. And then it's Orlando Pride, who are in good form. Then it's Portland Thorns away. Good luck with that one. I mean, so it goes on. So, you know, yes, they can get 2 or 3 wins out of 7. Out of 7. Maybe 4, but to get 6, wow. But look, it would be an incredible achievement if they can.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the point of the season where things are becoming dire for a good chunk of NWSL teams. And if you're Houston, you're sitting in a good spot. But as we know, with this league, you have to keep your head on a swivel. There's very hungry teams, like you mentioned, North Carolina, games at hand. They could make a run. You're never comfortable. That's been clear this season. And there has not been a team that is, you know, way above the rest. I think it is not clear who is going to make the playoffs right now.
I must admit, one of the biggest surprises for me was the champions from last season, Washington Spirit. Right near the bottom of the table, and now almost impossible for them to make it because they've played more games than the others.
Yeah, lost to Portland the other night, and that seemed to be the end for Washington.
And they met North Carolina Courage in the Challenge Cup final, and Courage are bottom of the table, though they do have a couple of games in hand. So the teams who seem to have been the most successful have just struggled in this regular season, perhaps because they were focused on the Challenge Cup, and perhaps the champions have just lost their focus because of their success last season. Whatever it is, it's been a real surprise. And the other surprise is Angel City doing well, and San Diego been fantastic, and these are both clubs in their very first season.
Kansas City as well is on a 9-game unbeaten streak. They've really turned it around after a very poor start to the regular season, but you know, none of that matters now. It's all about how you finish, get above that playoff line, and again, Houston has some playoff dreams here. From Groom for Sanchez if she can get there. Boxed out by Fox, and it rolls out. Here's a goal kick coming for Katie Lund.
Sanchez hasn't got quite the same pace that Michelle Prince and Ebony Salmon have. If you're going to knock long balls, you want to be trying to get the 2 speedsters on the end of it. Sanchez is more of a creative player, such a good crosser of a ball, so skillful is the Mexican international.
Schmidt is down right now for Houston. Of course, Schmidt is a original NWSL player. Was with Sky Blue and now with Houston. And remember, it's Houston, Texas in the dead of summer. So that is something to keep in mind. We will have a hydration break, as you see Amoros, the head coach, concerned about his starter in Sophie Schmidt.
He's a tall guy, evidently. I'm just looking there. He looks like he's 6'2"-ish. Bjorkegren is 6'15".
Yeah.
He's 6'5", but he's huge.
Yeah, so battle of two of the tallest coaches in the league, I guess. Is again, we'll have a hydration break here. Definitely necessary for both of these sides in Houston. And you see Katie Naughton there. You could see her on her screen. Just signed a contract extension with Houston, announced today. And Katie Naughton has just been crucial at center back. And I think one thing about Houston is they really have kept that center back pairing for really the entire season. Prysock and Naughton haven't budged. And so I think that has been helpful consistency-wise. As you see Schmidt up and at him.
A couple of goals this season. Sophie Schmidt, a golazo against Gotham. Fantastic strike right in the top corner. Scored against the Portland Thorns as well. If you're getting goals up front from the likes of Ebony Salmon and Nichelle Prince, and you've got a couple of midfielders chipping in. Shea Groom's got one as well. That really helps you be successful, as you see Juan Carlos Amaros. Amazing from the moment he stepped in. And we did that match against Chicago. Chicago were in good form there. They beat them 4-1. They absolutely tore them apart with his style of football, which is the high press, positive, with the pace up front in Ebony Salmon. And he's pretty much kept it going since then with 3 wins from 3.
Yeah, that was a Chicago team that was on a tear, a 9-game unbeaten streak until that match. And then it's really ignited something in Houston, because offensively they have absolutely turned a corner. This season, they have 4 times scored 4 or more goals, and it's happened twice in the last 3 games, against Gotham and against Chicago. And OL Reign is so strong, you're not going to score 4 goals against them. This is a OL Reign team, though, that hadn't lost in Seattle, and for Houston to go in there and win that game on the road, just a very impressive performance for the Dash. I think that was, the question going into that match. Is this more of a fluke than anything else? Is this a new coaching change? I do think that game in Seattle proved that Houston is definitely going to make a run for the playoffs here.
By the way, Portland Thorns' only loss at home was against Houston Dash 2-0. So, and that was before the new coach came. So it shows you these players are capable of some wonderful achievements.
Well, Houston has won 5 games away from PNC Stadium. They've actually had a ton of success away from Houston. That is the most in team history away from PNC Stadium.
Good stats.
So if you're going into the playoffs, I know this is a long way away, but that is definitely a great thing to have in your back pocket, that they know they can win. They're very comfortable away from home, because obviously it's not a given whether you're gonna play a playoff game at home or not.
I think going into the playoffs, one of the teams you don't want to meet is Houston Dash, because they are so capable of. If you can win away at Portland Thorns and OL Reign, then even if you draw them at home, you're going to be worried. So, but I guess when you get to the playoffs, every single team is really good. And they're not there yet. They've got a little bit of work to do. Whereas for Racing Louisville, they've got a mountain to climb if they want to get to the final, or to the playoffs rather.
Chidiac, Davis, offside again. Again, Houston Dash, Racing Louisville in Houston, Texas. No score yet between these two sides. This is a Houston team, though, that does tend to get going a little bit later. They've actually scored 22 of their 26 goals after the 30th minute, so they tend to ease into a match. For Racing Louisville, it's pretty spread out consistently of when they will score. But again, just 16 goals this year for Racing Louisville comparatively to the 26 for Houston.
It's a space to play out here. Look at this green grass in front here. Take your time. And if you're going to do the press, Racing Louisville, you've all got to press together.
Sanchez past Lester. Murray hesitates and then clears. A little miscommunication there between Lester and Murray. Murray was signed in May with Racing Louisville, but then ended up going to represent Jamaica in CONCACAF play. Jamaica's going to 2 straight World Cups now because of Murray. But she's only starting to really ease into her time with this Louisville squad. Vigiano. Katie Naughton. Off the head of Murray, intended for Sanchez.
It's Ebony Salmon trying to play it through the middle. Well, that's where you really want Ebony Salmon to be.
Right.
She's come a little bit deeper there, and with her pace, she's at her most effective, just sitting on the centre-back shoulder and waiting for that ball to be played through the middle.
Garris. Sanchez. Up for Lund. Hops to her, bobbles. Prince has a chance. Now Groom off the line, and it bounces wide.
Wow, what a chance there for Shea Groom. It's one of those crazy situations where Katie Lund's come out and then she realizes she's going to take the ball over the line. That would have been a direct free kick. Have a look, she gets it there and it bobbles, and because it bobbles, she keeps running and nearly gets over the line. That's an open net for Shea Groom. Have a look here. She just tries to catch it and comes ever so close to getting it on target. It would have been an embarrassing moment for Racing Louisville goalkeeper Katie Lund, who's, as you said earlier, has just been in absolute scintillating form. But she was trying to avoid the direct free kick for handball outside the box and probably a yellow card to go with it. She just drops the ball into a very dangerous situation. Shea Groom unable to capitalize.
Well, Houston took advantage of a handball against OL Reign. It's what got them going. They were down 1-0 because Megan Rapinoe scored, and then Quinn, it knocked into their hand in the box. Ebony Salmon steps up, takes the PK, and that is kind of what got things started for Houston. 2 minutes later, they're in the lead because Salmon, in the run of play, scored. Things can change on a dime.
That's what comes from pressure. We often talk about that you know, teams that are on the front foot, that are in the opponent's box, yeah, they get a bit lucky sometimes. They might get a dodgy penalty call, they might get a deflected shot go in, but in a way they deserve it because they're attacking, they're putting the opponents under pressure, and that's what Houston Dash tend to do. They get forward, they stretch you, they try and get behind you, and they try and get ball into the box and, you know, see if they can get a bit lucky or if they can have a little moment of magic.
Bonner waits for it. Now Fox, pressure from Prince. Off to Murray. DeMello back and forth. Murray, burst of speed. Groom swipes. Here comes Houston in transition. Groom towards the middle. Tripped. And that is most certainly a foul.
Yeah, and a yellow card,
and a yellow
I would think.
card
Yeah.
against Murray. So now Murray playing on a yellow. It's a good position for a free kick now for the Houston Dash.
Shea Groom did so well, not only to win that ball in midfield, but she was running, she was looking for both, or either of Ebony Salmon or Nichelle Prince to make a run, and she was fully concentrated on knocking that ball through. And that's why Murray brings her down, because you could see she was about to play there to the right and put Nichelle Prince in. And Murray thought, you know what, I'll take one for the team, I'll bring her down, but we can't afford to have Nichelle Prince running into the box there unmarked.
Against Satara, Murray with the yellow card, and Houston on a set piece. It's Sanchez. Prince, Salmon at the very top of the box. You see Schmidt and Prysock on the left. This one lofted up and goes right to Katie Lund.
Not the best free kick, straight through. It needs a bit more width. The goalkeeper comes and catches that one and doesn't drop it over the line, manages to hold on to it this time.
Chidiac shuffling. Controls. Blocked by Garris. Again, Ryan Garris is a rookie. They're seeing a lot of playing time for Houston under Ambrose. He started her in the Chicago game, so that was the first game that he was the head coach. And then since then has used Garris in a lot of different roles, including starting today. Jacobs up the right side, cuts it back. Again, Natalie Jacobs. Now Schmidt. It's expected that Jacobs is going to take that roster spot that Rachel Daly occupied. Had a really good connection with Ebony Salmon in that first match against Chicago.
Got the space here on the right-hand side for the dash. They've moved it so well from right to left and back to right.
There's Jacobs. Howell, couple of tackles, pushes it out. Nadim going the other way for Racing Louisville.
There's 2 white shirts up front and about 8 Houston Dash shirts, so they were never going to get that one through, and that's the hard work of Dash to get back. And the fact that Racing Louisville were probably a little bit too gassed. They've been closing down, running. Maybe, as you say, it's the heat of being in Houston this time of the year. They just couldn't get many white shirts up there to support Nadim.
Kizzy Davis was trying to avoid going offside as well. She's done that twice today. No score yet. Houston has certainly been knocking on the door. Jane Campbell with 4 shutouts this year. And now, because Daly is leaving, it's Campbell and Prince. They're the longest tenured Dash players. Been with the team since 2017.
They're going to be happy with this so far, Racing Louisville. They haven't conceded. They're in the game. Got the likes of Chidiac there, who scored that wonderful goal against Portland a couple of games ago. Down the touchline, if they can get the ball to the Australian. Perhaps they will get a breakthrough, Racing Louisville.
Howell. Lauren Millay has a score this year. Back to Jalen Howell. Still looking for a first regular season goal. Howell takes a shot. And it sails over to Nadim. Able to get the pickup here for Racing Louisville. Try to set something up. You see Lester cutting in the box. Another cross put on and nobody home on the opposite side.
2 balls whipped in there, and on both occasions not able to get on the end of it, Racing Louisville, but at least it's something for them to feel positive about. They are getting wide and able to get crosses in. They just need those crosses to be a little bit more accurate.
Howell. Little flick to Millay. Offside again.
You shouldn't be offside from that situation. You're looking down the line, you can see all the orange shirts, you know exactly where you have to be. It's a waste of a good position, it's a waste of possession as well.
Well, these 2 teams already played this year. It was the 15th of May, so it's been a while, and it was a 1-1 draw. And things did not get going until the very end of that game. Prince scored in the 77th minute, and then Jess McDonald matched her in the 82nd. Everything was even in that game. Shots, pretty much, possession time, all of it. Lester. DeMello pushed back. Now Bonner. Prince up front. Katie Lund. Prince has already made some noise against Katie Lund. A near mishap. Sanchez. Beautiful move past Lester. Sanchez off a cross. Lund punches it out, and it makes its way to Millay.
That's Maria Sanchez for you. Such wonderful skills the Mexican international has, and you add that to the pace of Salmon and Prince, and those front 3 are a little bit special for Houston Dash. Ball in, perhaps a little bit too close to the keeper, allow Katie Lynn to come and punch it clear. But great skills from Maria Sanchez.
this is a team that, you know, everybody's talking about Ebony Salmon, and she deserves to be talked about for all that she accomplished in her first couple of games with Houston. But under Ambrose, it does seem like players like Sanchez and Groom are being allowed to operate the way they want to operate as well. And so a lot of players have seen their numbers increase, Sanchez and Groom being a pair of distributors that, you know, now have 8 combined.
And she's also been able to impact the game, Maria Sanchez. Both these recent penalties, she was the one who won the penalties for her team.
Davis. Corner on the way for Racing Louisville.
And that Shea Groom header, by the way, against Gotham, that was across from Sanchez as well. So, you know, an assist for a goal. She wins 2 penalties all in the space of the last few matches. She might not be getting the headlines of Ebony Salmon, but she certainly is impacting the game and turning it in her team's favor.
This will actually be a goal kick for Houston. Prysock through the middle. Now Schmidt. Taken away by Chidiac. Clean tackle by Vigiano. Chidiac goes flying, slow to get up. And all ball there. Jacobs again played for Ambrose at Real Betis. Comes over to join the dash. Garris takes it up. Too far in front of Ebony Salmon. Lund wasn't ready for it.
Risky pass back there from Satara Murray. Only inches away from being a gift.
Schmidt through to Mello. Salmon. Past Murray. A step outside the box. Ebony Salmon is fouled, and Murray has to be careful
Ooh,
on a yellow.
That's it. That's it.
It's a double yellow for Murray and a red card in the first half of this match. So Satara Murray is out, and now a player up from here on out for the Houston Dash.
Wow, that's a harsh second yellow from Katja Koroleva. Is she seeing it as a professional foul? I didn't think there was much contact. If she'd have pulled her back, let's have a look. Is there a tug? I can't see the tug. A hand comes out to block her. Ebony Salmon's annoyed. I'm just not sure it's worthy of a second yellow, but the bottom line is, once you're on a yellow, you have to be extremely careful. And I thought Satara Murray took one for the team earlier on, although she was the one who lost possession when she came back and gave away the first yellow.
When did Ambrose? Ambrose just looked the most stressed, even though his team is playing a player up right now, and a good spot for a free kick. So Salmon is just tying a cleat right now as Lund will get prepared. And again, Louisville is playing with 10 from here on out.
Well, we said it was tough coming to take on this Houston Dash in incredible form. They've just made it a hell of a lot more difficult for themselves.
So maybe an inch outside the box. Schmidt, Sanchez both lining up here, and it's Schmidt who takes it, and it bends all the way into the stands.
Yeah, not Schmidt's best. I've seen us stick a few in the back of the net, golazos, but that one not so good. But this is what happens when you have players with pace, like Ebony Salmon, like Nichelle Prince. If they turn and run at you, if you allow them to turn and run at you, you're in trouble, because there's very few centre-backs going to keep up with Ebony Salmon. We saw it in that Chicago match when she outstripped the Chicago centre-backs, Zoe Morse being one of them, and left them for dead. So the moment she turned against Satara Murray, there was trouble. That's what Juan Carlos Amaros has got going so well. His speeds is up front. He's obviously given them the confidence to turn and run at defenders, and they're winning penalties and they're getting players sent off, and it's all going Houston Dash's way.
Now they just need a goal as we approach halftime here in Houston, Texas. Tons of space for Garris as everybody gets back. Ahead to Prince, and it hops wide. Groom is charging in though, and Fox is able to knock it out.
I don't think Dash should be too worried about going in at halftime 0-0. Second half, they're going to have lots of time. Already, you can see Racing Louisville have had to work really hard to close them down. They're a little bit tired in this heat as well, away from home, and now down to 10 men. you've got to think all the factors are in favor of Dash. They can just be patient, keep working. You would think that at some stage they will get a breakthrough.
Garris takes a shot, and it goes wide. Lund had that covered. Ryan Garris coming up from that wingback spot, taking a shot there for Houston. No NWSL goals for Garris, but again, just her first season. She's come close a couple of times.
She had the assist, didn't she, for Ebony Salmon when she got the hat-trick against Chicago Red Stars. And a very, very good pass it was to put Ebony Salmon through. So Ryan Garris can be a very useful player when it comes to offensive opportunities.
So we're going to get 2 minutes of stoppage time. Again, 2 minutes here in the first half. Just a reminder, Louisville is now down a player because Satara Murray just got a double yellow. It's the 4th time that has happened this season in the NWSL. We actually had a team, though, win a game in Angel City. Down a player, went down maybe a minute later, and Claire Emsley scored the game winner. So never say never for Racing Louisville. It's just there's a lot of time.
Yeah, there's just so many factors against them, not just down to 10 men, but away from home. They've got, they haven't won in 10 games. They've got 5 points from 30 up against a team that's won their last 3. As you said, scored 4 in 2 of those games. I mean, all the facts and all the figures are against Racing Louisville, but they've got to fight on and hope that they can do it. And you're right, they've just got to believe, defend well, and just see if they can get something on the counter-attack through Nadia Nadim.
Yeah, so Murray, Tyler Lucy, Megan Rapinoe, and Abby Dahlkemper. Those are the 4 players to get double yellows in the league. See Rachel Daly getting prepared for her halftime celebration. See all the fans out asking for their final pictures with Rachel Daly here in Houston.
Lovely. And it's wonderful to see a legend being treated, and respected at halftime. And yes, of course, they're sad to be losing her. Who wouldn't? But they've respected her wishes to go back to England after 7 years. And I think she had a couple of years at college first. It's more like 10 years she's been away. They've respected her wishes. They're going to make her feel special at halftime. And that's what clubs should do. That's the respect for your superstars, and delighted to see it.
Well, that was dangerously close, but it will take us to the end of the half. So we don't have a score yet between Houston and Louisville. Again, a player up here for Houston Dash as we head to the halftime break. Thoughts on this one so far, Gary?
Yeah, they've had a few chances, Houston Dash. They could easily be a goal or 2 up, and I think second half the pressure will just continue to build against Racing Louisville. It's going to be a tough halftime talk for Kim Bjorkegren to try and get his troops up and ready for what's going to be a really, really difficult next 45 minutes.
Well, we will take a break here as they celebrate Rachel Daly in Houston. No score yet between the Dash and Racing Louisville at halftime.
Thank you. Yeah, it's harsh.
Do you feel like, can you see anything?
Looks a little bit fuzzy on this.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Martin. I'm the mayor pro tem of this great city of Houston, and we have a special presentation to Rachel Daly today. And if you allow me to read the proclamation, not only from the city of Houston, but from you fans in the city of Houston. And it reads, whereas Rachel Daly was drafted by the Houston Dash, the 6th overall pick in the 2016 NWSL College Draft. Whereas the forward
Welcome back to Houston. We don't have a score yet between the Dash and Racing Louisville. It's halftime. Again, alongside Gary Bailey, I'm Morris Sheridan. And before we get to anything, we should say that they just had the halftime celebration to honor Rachel Daly. See Rachel Daly right there. And they announced that from here on out, August 12th is Rachel Daly Day in the city of Houston.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
a really important day, and the mayor was out, and of course they had all of the signage and all the thank yous from the Houston fans, from the players, and from really everyone that she's touched here in this city.
Wonderful. Great thing that the city have done to remember a person who had such a huge impact on the club. And happy vibes all round. And now Houston Dash current players will want to add to that happy vibe with a goal or two second half. By the way, expected goals for Sanchez and company first half, 0.83. So they should have scored at least one. Expected goals for the visitors, 0.00. In other words, they haven't had one attacking move of any significance. Now that Kimby Åkergren has to change. You can't do that for 90 minutes. Obviously, you're not going to win the game. But certainly you don't want to do it for 80 minutes and then come to life at the end. That's such a negative way of playing. So I'm assuming now that they've got a clean sheet first half, Racing Louisville, and are going to come out second half and hopefully take it to Houston Dash.
Well, despite all of those numbers that you gave, things are even bleaker for Racing Louisville considering they are down a player for the rest of the match. So Tara Murray got a double yellow in the first half, and so they have just 10 on the field right now.
Yep, away from home, in the heat, against an informed Dash side. Everything is against Racing Louisville, but sometimes players under those circumstances can produce something spectacular. You would think the likes of Nani and Nadim would be the one to lead them, but I'm also looking at the bench, fresh legs, and of course Jess McDonald is one player, so too maybe Freya Olofsson, and the new Chinese signing Wang Chung might be worth throwing her on to see what she could do.
Yeah, that was officially announced. We knew that was going to happen, that trade was made I guess it was right before the OL Reign game a couple of weeks ago. And they traded for her rights with OL Reign, and then the question was, when are they going to sign her? When are they going to bring her on? And she's available for selection today, so we'll see if that provides some depth for Racing Louisville. You have a feeling down a player, they're absolutely going to need some of those subs to step up big.
This is where the space starts opening up. If you can switch left to right and back again, Houston Dash, you're going to drag the Louisville players every which way. And it gets difficult for them to cover every angle. So as you saw there, move the ball quickly, and the chances are that your wing backs are going to have some space to work in.
Oh, Katie Lund here for Louisville. Had kind of a weird play, collided with Nichelle Prince at the very top of the box. Realized that she was going to step out of the box with the ball in her hands and had to throw it back. It got awkward. Shea Groom was there to almost finish the job. That was one of the better looks that Houston has had. We've seen 3 shots on target for Houston, 8 shots total.
They haven't quite got the service in that you expected, but I still reckon that Maria Sanchez will start to get wide and whip them in. They're going to be looking constantly for Nichelle Prince and Ebony Salmon off the shoulder of the centre backs. And as they start to dominate midfield more, because they have the extra player, and because they're at home, and because Racing Louisville, to be fair, had to work very hard first half, I do get the sense that the Dash will just get stronger and create more chances. Obviously, you never know, and Racing Louisville fans will be saying, no, we can counter and we can score, and absolutely they could, but I'd be very surprised if they managed to do it enough to walk away with 3 points.
Chidiac off to Fox. Nadim, Fox. And like we said earlier, Racing Louisville is in 9th place in the league right now. And we've said this with a lot of teams, but it has to be 3 points pretty much from here on out. And so you would think if you go down a player and still manage to get a draw, that would be a win in itself. It's not really going to matter too much for Racing Louisville. So they're going to have to be a little bit risky, I think, to try to get a goal.
think that's a fair comment. They will have to. And you've got to chuck in something else this month. They're hosting the Women's Cup.
Right.
They're going to have the likes of AC Milan, OL Reign, Tottenham Hotspur, Club America from Mexico all coming into play. So they're going to have to put a decent team out. So they've got that thrown into the whole mix. Now, if you're sitting second or third and you've got these tournaments to play, that's already a lot of stress and extra gains. But when you're chasing 6 wins out of 7 and you've got that tournament, wow, they really have made it difficult for themselves, Racing Louisville.
Well, it is going to be a tradition that Racing Louisville will host as Davis tries to make something happen up top. And it is definitely a wonderful thing in terms of growing the game. But as you said, for Racing Louisville, it's probably the wrong time for a tournament like that to be happening. Jacobs up the side, now pulls it back here for Houston. Plenty of time. Katie Naughton. Schmidt. Groom, burst of speed off to Prince. Squares up. Prince looks to take a shot. Too far ahead, and then commits a foul.
Good turn from Michelle Prince there. And I think you're beginning to see what we mentioned a few moments ago, that they'll start to get more and more ball around the edge of the box. They'll start probing, making runs into the box, giving the Racing Louisville defenders more and more of a hard time. That's what I would expect from Houston Dash with the extra player.
Well, the one thing is that if anybody is going to mark up really well against Ebony Salmon, you would think that Racing Louisville, having seen her for a year and a half, might be one of the better teams to do that, and they've done a decent job against Salmon so far. Question is, how long can you keep someone like that down? It's been difficult for everyone in the last 3 matches against 6 goals for Ebony Salmon in 3 games. It's Chidiac. Australian. Nadim turns, fires, blocked away. Chidiac again. Off the head of Jacobs. Now it's Howell.
We just saw confirmation a moment ago. The temperature 30 degrees Celsius, up in the 90s Fahrenheit.
And that's cool for Houston.
It is cool. But still, at that heat, takes a lot of energy out of you. And that's, again, the concern for Racing Louisville, who have been chasing this game, and with 10 players are likely to keep on chasing this game. Although right now they do have a nice little welcome time with the ball under possession.
DeMello off to Nadim, broken up. Jacobs lays out for that one. Garris up the left side. Moves it towards the middle. Barrels through, and Bonner sends that way up. Back to Prysock.
Look at the white shirts on your right-hand side, the white tops. They're not getting out quickly. They're jogging. They're beginning to look a little bit tired now, Racing Louisville. The question is, if this high press, and there goes the high press, if they keep this high press going, they're going to get turnover ball. They're going to keep that pressure on.
Groom. Bonner swerves out of trouble. Up the touchline to Nadim. Ahead to Davis. We get a whistle.
Davis had a little tug there, the defender's shirt.
Yeah, Davis. So Davis had 2 offside calls against her. Malay had 1, and then you see there commits a foul. And it just seems like every time they're trying to get loose and build up in transition, Racing Louisville has not been able to.
I believe there's some players warming up on the side of the pitch. And it might be time to bring in some fresh legs, especially for Racing Louisville, because their players have worked very hard to close down Houston Dash.
Yeah, Hansen, Vazali, Alozi, and a Bam. Definitely a Bam would be a good option here, I think, for Houston.
Shoulder to shoulder, deemed fair by referee Kocha Koroleva.
Groom takes off, takes a shot, and Lund has it handled.
Well, they're not desperate yet, Houston Dash. I think they feel there's still plenty of time on the clock, but the opportunities they're making aren't that good. There's lots of little opportunities, but shots like that not giving Katie Lund much of a problem. In fact, the best chance, you described it, was Katie Lund not able to control the ball and nearly taking it out the box and ended up throwing it to Shea Groom, who could have scored. That was the best chance. So positive for Dash, but they need better chances.
Here's Salmon, flicks it on net. Lund denies and then covers.
There you go. There's the pace. That's what you want from the likes of Ebony Salmon. On the shoulder of the centre back, play the ball through. Okay, the shot wasn't great, but her pace gets her into the box. Just doesn't get enough of it and doesn't get it wide of the keeper either.
Nice feed from Natalie Jacobs as well. As Groom fighting for it with DeMello. Now Prince comes up. DeMello on her back. Plays through. Fox. Ricochets off a couple of bodies. Bounce to Fox again. Here comes Emily Fox. Nadim. Fox rips a shot. And it's wide and up. Now that was a decent look for Racing Louisville.
Is that their first shot at target?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't on target, but it was sort of in the general vicinity of the goal. Well, maybe that's hope for Racing Louisville, is that they can get on the front foot on the odd occasion, and maybe one will rifle into the top corner, or maybe something will bounce around for Nadia Nadim to pounce on. And if they do get one goal, they've got something to defend.
Yeah, so now Racing Louisville does have 2 shots. Again, none on target, but it does move that XG up to .03.
Wow. Says he sarcastically, but you know, you do have to be a little bit more on the front foot, I would think, if you want to win games. And they don't have the chance or the choice to draw this. They have to win it.
Sanchez. There's a shot, and again, a bouncer to Lund, who again bobbles. Groom charging in, collides with Katie Lund.
It's the third time Katie Lund has bobbled a ball. She did one a couple of minutes ago from a shot, and of course one in the first half that nearly resulted in a goal. Not the best at goalkeeping from someone who we've both spoken about, has had a couple of blinders. And when I mean blinders, absolutely incredible matches. So well, she's entitled to a little bit of an off day, given what she's been doing in the past few weeks.
Nadim, slice to DeMello. Chidiac in the middle. Schmidt guarding well. Chidiac off to DeMello. Fox blazing forward. Here comes Emily Fox again. Just took a shot, puts a cross on, and it slips through. Intended for Davis.
The problem is just Davis on her own up front. There's nobody else there, so it has to be the perfect ball in. There was about 6 or 7 defenders, and just Davis trying to get in the middle of them all. So it's a big ask, but I guess because they're a player down, they can only afford to have one striker up.
Lund has some time here for Louisville. This is a team that has not won in 10 straight matches. On the flip side for Houston, they've got a 3-game winning streak on the line right now. Sanchez. Tries to beat the defender.
Good skills again from Maria Sanchez. Unlucky not to pull that one off. As we're coming up to the 2/3 mark, you get the sense that I think there will be subs coming on, and changes need to happen for both sides, for Racing Louisville if they want to win it, and for certainly for Houston Dash if they want to try and impose themselves on this game.
So Jacobs will come out, Alozi will come in. That's Michelle Alozi entering the game. Alozi does have a goal this year for Houston. It was in that 5-0 victory for the Dash against Orlando. Complemented a Nichelle Prince hat trick very well.
I guess the 3 centre backs have now gone to 2 centre backs. The wing backs will drop back a little bit, but they don't need as many players to defend because Racing Louisville is short by 1, so they'll still allow their fullbacks to push up when they can and just keep the 2 centre backs at home.
Here's a Losey. Got Prince to the right. That's where she goes. Prince splits the defense. Pass inside to Groom. Tries a give and go, and it's broken up by Fox. Fox gets fouled by Prince, trying to break free. And we're going to get a yellow card against Nichelle Prince. Well, aftermath, I think, as well. That's the first yellow against a Houston player.
And hopefully she learns from what's already happened, that once you're on a yellow, you don't want to do what Satara Murray did and get the second yellow. So Nichelle Prince will have to tread extremely carefully.
We'll see this again. Just a frustration tug.
Very clear tug. And why tug there on the edge of the box? It's one thing if you're defending on your box where it's dangerous. It's not dangerous there. And now you put yourself in a very tricky situation.
Well, we are going to see a change. It looks like it will be Schwang to come in, so we will see the new Racing Louisville player. A lot to be excited about, with Wang Schwang. Enters a game for the first time, her first NWSL match. This one lofted up to Lund, and on her heel, able to pick it up. Alozi. So it looks like Chidiac is the one to be replaced. Davis.
She had the chance, Davis, there to have a shot, and either wanted to take a second or was forced to take a second touch. You do get the sense, I mean, as much as we say that the odds are very much against Racing Louisville, they have had a lot more possibilities in this 15 minutes of the second half than they had in the entire first half. So there certainly is hope for Racing Louisville if they want to win 6 of the last 7, starting with a win here tonight.
DeMello off the corner. See Bonner in the middle, Howell and Nadim as well. Nadim floating towards that back post. It's up, and Vigiano gets in front. Fox. Naughton heads it out of trouble. Now Salmon has some time. Here comes Ebony Salmon. Fox denying. Nice job by Emily Fox to get back. Alozi crashing in, hops, Schwang, tries to clear, no. On the wing to Sanchez, another cross, and Lund is able to knock it down, cuts it off, and Salmon is now kind of crouched down at the edge of the box.
Now that they've added an extra attacking element in Michelle Alozi, they're coming at Racing Louisville from every angle. Nichelle Prince, Ebony Salmon, Michelle Alozi, Maria Sanchez. It's going to be an interesting time for Katie Lund in goals. It's a very positive move, to be fair, from Juan Carlos Amaros. I mean, he is at home, and they do have the extra players, so it makes sense to take off a defender and put on an extra striker. But he certainly is going for it, so to speak. And to be fair to Racing Louisville, they're also creating a few opportunities. So it could be a real slugging match this last 30 or so minutes, toe to toe.
Racing Louisville has weathered the storm thus far. Howell. Nadim trying to break loose. And Jane Campbell, whose name we have not called very much in this match, rolls it out to Vigiano. Sanchez. Here comes Garris. Tries across. Lund dives off the second chance. Prince can't get a foot on it. Alozi right back at it, tripped up by DeMello. And a free kick coming for Houston.
Maybe a yellow card as well, I would suggest. For what seems very much a professional foul, just stepping straight into it and stopping Alozi. Have a look at it again. Well, maybe the referee is just saying it was a shoulder to shoulder, but it certainly looked like a professional foul from my perspective there.
No card, but a free kick. Sanchez sets up.
She can bend the ball, as we mentioned a few times, Maria Sanchez. Let's see if she does take it, and if she does, whether it curls in, provides the defenders with a problem.
Off her left foot to Alozi. Bonner read that. Salmon launches it back into Lund. Groom was awaiting. And now Lund rolling around in the box. Not sure if she collided with Groom on the aftermath of that.
I didn't see her hit anything. Maybe she just landed awkwardly and hurt herself. She's holding her finger. I think she might have just caught her finger in the ground as she went to pick it up, because there was nobody near her when she scooped up the ball.
Well, it does look like the training staff will have to come out. And Katie Lund shaken up after a grab off the ground. You see Bjorkegren, his team is hanging on. He's made a couple of changes. Again, putting Schwung in for the first time.
I believe it's the first Chinese international to play in the NWSL, so congratulations to Wang Shuang, who played with Nadine back at PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. So they do have a little bit of history. She has someone there that she can turn to and ask for a little bit of help. I'm assuming they both speak a little bit of French, having been at PSG.
Well, we are seeing this appears to be a little bit more serious for Lund than we immediately expected. So it looks like Jordan Bloomer is just getting warm, just in case.
It does seem like, you know, you can, as a goalkeeper, catch your finger awkwardly, and if so, if it does dislocate or even break, then you pretty much have to come off. Otherwise, it's very painful catching the ball. I had a whole bunch of those in my career. And they're not fun. And you don't want to be trying to, and especially not even catching it, you can't punch it because you can't bend your fingers. And then it's very dangerous to come punch a ball with a dislocated or damaged finger. So let's see if she's going to play on or not.
Well, Bloomer was ready, but it appears that Katie Lund is going to stay.
It can't be quite as bad as we thought then.
It does give this Racing Louisville side and Houston just a chance to reconvene and assess how they're going to continue the rest of this match. No score yet between Houston and Louisville as we trend towards the end of this game here in Texas. Howell just got shoved out of play, and so will be Racing Louisville ball. Remember, Nichelle Prince is playing on a yellow right now. Now, that's the first time that she's ever gotten a yellow card. This season, I should say. C.B. Bjorkegren, head coach for Racing Louisville, talking to his team right now. Look, they're still very much in this game.
They are. They've done well to be in this game against an informed team like Houston Dash under these conditions. The heat, down to 10 players.
DeMello, who has 3 goals this season, tries a cross, and Alozi gets in front of that. So Schmidt is now going the other way for Houston. Salmon. Lester back to Katie Lund. Groom challenging. Alozi.
See all those white jerseys are all back there, very close together. Only 5 yards separating the two lines at times. So lots of space here as they move it around. Houston Dash, they're able to create pockets of space and Oh, giveaway ball there.
Davis, they'll take it if they're Louisville. Gonna need some luck in this one, absolutely. Nadim starts, stops, gets pushed by Schmidt, clean. As Nadim's down right now for Racing Louisville.
Definitely a free kick. Some lovely touches there from Hadia Nadim. She does have some wonderful close control skills, but took a bit of a hit there. Getting up very slowly, or not getting up at all at this stage.
Well, Nadim, again, tore her ACL last year, returned on a very short timeline, and then immediately had to go to the Euros to play for Denmark, and so she's finally back and consistently in the lineup, and he's used her as a starter in the last two. Previously was kind of in and out on the bench or as a starter, but he's looking to push her the full 90, it seems, Bjorkegren.
She's such a wonderful goal scorer. I mean, 4 goals in 6 games, that's the sort of player you do want. I'm just surprised Jess McDonald hasn't been called into the fray, maybe to replace Kirsten Davis up front, because McDonald's got that pace, got that ability to run at defenses.
There's McDonald.
Oh.
Not sure if she's going to come in, but definitely saw her taking off her opinion, getting ready, so wouldn't be surprised if we see her sooner rather than later. Of course, McDonald is 4th all-time in NWSL scoring and the best distributor ever, as Nadim is still getting some attention off the pitch. This one in the air. Salmon the other way.
Down to 9 men at the moment, or sorry, 9 players at the moment are Racing Louisville. They're going to be very careful. They're going to be stretched. They're trying to get it back on the pitch as soon as possible.
Campbell sends that one into the crowd. You can see McDonald and Zanetta Wine lining up to potentially come in this match.
What makes sense, Jess McDonald, Zanetta Wine, fresh legs, players who can get forward. Zanetta Wine can bomb from that full back position or out wide.
Wine was a national team replacement player that they ended up signing, Racing Louisville.
Is the last throw of the dice, you would think, or one of the last throws by Kim Bjorkegren. If they have to get a win, that was his comment, 6 wins from the last 7. And they have to do something here that's going to turn it in their favor.
Well, Nadim is back now, has possession. DeMello, Groom, edged that out. Emily Fox. Been very, very solid against Emily Salmon today. Again, an interception. That was Lester who got ahead of that pass to Salmon. Howell. Bit of a weak pass. Prince. Groom. Back to Prince. Little flick. Salmon waits for it. Now some time to think about it. Off her left foot. Tries a service in. Bonner got in front. And Groom commits a foul. Goes over the back on Howell.
You can see Shay Groom saying, what did I do wrong? I challenged for the ball and won it. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right, so we will have a couple of subs here for Houston. Looks like Groom will be coming out. Emily Ogle will come in. And we'll also see Hansen enter the game. That's Haley Hansen coming in for Houston. Takes out Ryan Garris. Schwang earns it back. Here she comes. Rips a shot, and it sails into the stands, but that's her first NWSL shot.
Wouldn't have that been a start if she'd have come on and with her first effort stuck it in the top corner. Unfortunately not to be for the Chinese international.
we've seen crazier things happen this year. Naughton resets here for the dash. Not a ton of time to get that first goal. There's Ogle off to Naughton. Campbell again comes out of her area. Sanchez. Salmon in the middle. You can see how concerned they are when Salmon gets the ball. Everyone comes blazing towards her. Got a couple of players down right now, but Schmidt now handles for Houston. Back to Salmon. Here's a chance, and it's out anyway.
Nearly, they've been trying to thread this ball through Houston Dash, and you can see they're getting space on that sort of 35-yard line more and more now as we stop for a hydration break. There you can see Juan Carlos Amaros. I wonder what words he's got for his team with 15 minutes to go. And he's coached in Spain at Real Betis Feminas. He's been with Tottenham Hotspur under some great coaches, by the way. Villas-Boas, Mourinho, Pochettino, Harry Redknapp. So right now he'll be trying to figure out how best to turn things around.
Well, you see again the celebration of Rachel Daly that happened at halftime. She is no longer with the club. She is in attendance today, and they're trying to send her out on a good note. Of course, signed to join Aston Villa in England after the Euros, and Daly is, I think they could use her right now, absolutely. They could always use Rachel Daly, but this is a game just looking to break the draw right now. We've seen opportunities for Houston up a player to take the lead and get. Nothing's gone in.
Yeah, I bet she wishes to get on the pitch and score this vital, crucial goal. Look, it might still come 15 minutes to go. I do get the sense the Dash are controlling the ball, but every once in a while, in fairness to Racing Louisville, they've managed to counter-attack, and whilst they haven't really hit the target and the balls into the box have maybe only had Kirsten Davis in the middle, at least they're getting into the opposing half and beginning to threaten a little bit.
Well, she's not done signing autographs consistently all match, getting lots of love, Rachel Daly. But again, her team, 12 shots for Houston, 7 on target, haven't scored yet. And for Racing Louisville, they have 3 shots, not 1 is on target, and yet we're sitting here talking about a draw. And this is, a Racing Louisville team that has 5 draws and 5 losses in the last 10 games. All things considered, a draw would be impressive on their side today, but probably not going to move the needle too much.
And it's been frustrating for Houston Dash because although they haven't had a ton of chances, but as you say, they've had certain number of shots on target. They haven't been good shots. They haven't really tested Katie Lund. As we said before, the best chance was a mess she made on the edge of the box with a ball that was coming back to her. And maybe one chance when Ebony Salmon got through one-on-one, but other than that, the quality of the attacks from Houston Dash hasn't been there as yet, but with the players they have, it could come at any moment.
Katie Naughton controls off to Campbell, her keeper. 3-game winning streak on the line for Houston at home here at PNC Stadium. It would be the longest winning streak in club history.
And you know what, even if Houston only draw this, and we'll pick it up in a moment.
Schmidt hits the side of the netting.
But even if they draw, they'll still be in second position above San Diego on goal difference and only 3 points behind the leaders Portland Thorns. So second in the table, Houston Dash, not the worst position in the world to be in. should this end in a draw.
Of course, there will be a bunch of games playing out this weekend. But like you said, I mean, Houston's a team that can afford to draw, and Louisville's not. As we did see Jess McDonald and Zanetta Wine enter the game for Racing Louisville. Saw a glimpse of McDonald, Alozi, DeMello. And now we'll get a call back to that grab. Alozi just kind of wrapped around DeMello. You can see Emily Fox at the edge of the pitch right now. She is out of the game. Wine came in. Up to Nadim. Too far. Looks like Kirsten Davis has been removed as well. So McDonald replaces Kirsten Davis. Side to side with Nadim.
That's that dangerous combination. They've scored a whole bunch of goals together in the past, and that's got to be a concern for Houston Dash as much as they're pushing forward for a winner. To keep an eye on Jess McDonald and her scoring partner Nadia Nadim.
Well, Louisville just struggling to get it in here as McDonald now will take the throw. And 30 career assists for Jess McDonald. It is the most ever NWSL history. 3 assists right now for Racing Louisville this season as Schmidt. The tap goes back to Lauren Millay, and the lunge from DeMello goes right to Nichelle Prince. Prince has Salmon up the middle, takes it herself, rips a shot, and it goes right to Katie Lund.
That's the sort of breakaway they're looking for, but Nichelle Prince just couldn't pull away there. You can see the white shirts catching up with her. You would have thought she had the pace to get away from the defender. And that's a really good track back from Julia Lester. The player you really want in that situation, of course, is Ebony Salmon, because her pace is even more electric. But this is a danger for Racing Louisville. As they throw bodies forward, they can get caught in the counter. Of course, they have no choice. They've got to go for the win.
Alozi off to Schmidt. Now in the area. Could take advantage of a slide. Prince can't get a foot on it. Cleared out just for a heartbeat. Houston right back at it. Off Hansen. Ogle. Schwan coming up. Ogle gets past. Puts it up. Lester in front. Tries it again. Schmidt. Head on a swivel, out to Alozi, and it goes behind her and out of play.
Alozi just raises her hand. That's a bad giveaway of possession, but she knows it, and on they go with the game.
Well, another sub for Houston, 2 more actually. So a Bam comes in, no surprise. Ebony Salmon will be removed, and Vizali comes in the game as well. So that means that 3 straight matches with a goal that is done for Ebony Salmon as Vigiano exits as well. So that streak is over for Salmon. I don't think Houston cares too much about that. They just care about getting a win. Again, Satara Murray in the first half, towards the tail end of that first half, picked up her 2nd yellow. And since then, Racing Louisville has been down to 10 players, and yet we're still even with no score.
It's been a very, very good performance. There's no doubt about it. And shutting out the likes of Ebony Salmon the way she's been playing and that pace of hers, you just got to give all the credit to Racing Louisville. But at the end of the day, the problem is they've painted themselves into a corner. And if they have to get 6 wins from 7, then you would think they have to win this one. And then they're actually in a position to it. 0-0, late goal, they'll probably walk away with the 3 points. So This is do or die time for Racing Louisville.
Well, this is not a position that Houston has found themselves in as of late. They've been outscoring opponents 10-4 in their last 3 matches. And here comes Prince. Hits her on the heel from Alozi. Just can't connect. Schwang. Nadim. Schwang with the service. In for McDonald. In the box.
That's the threat, isn't it? One decent ball in, and what a good ball it was in from Schwang as well. And McDonald's nearly on the end of it, and that's what all the Racing Louisville fans are hoping for.
Bizali. Alozi. Alozi, cross. Up in the air. Schwang. Let that clear. Now Nadim controls for Racing Louisville. Howell. A swing for the visitors.
With this sort of guts and attitude of Racing Louisville, you've got to ask yourself the question, how come they haven't won for 10? Because if they'd have played like this in previous matches with the same intensity, you feel they've got to have got something from those matches.
Sanchez. Gets past, Sanchez puts it in, goes wide, and there's no one there on the back post to tap it in.
Tricky feet again from Maria Sanchez. So clever the way she dribbles, but in the end, whips that one into the box and no one's on the end of it. Which has pretty much been the story for Houston Dash tonight. Lots of good effort, but nothing really special in that final third, or in particular in the box. Nobody able to finish off a good move, nobody able to get through and go one-on-one, except for the one opportunity from Ebony Salmon, which was well saved by Katie Lund.
Alozi. Schwang on her back. Alozi passes it right to Malay on the opposite side. Again, Racing Louisville trying to rain on the parade here. Rachel Daly Day, officially in Houston, of course, celebrating the legend. And the dash just trying to honor Sanchez. Takes a shot. Schwang resettles. Nadim does not have numbers. Stumbles, pass to a Bam, now Alozi. Floats it into Schmidt, and it's too high. Howell.
Just put it clear, big pressure coming now in these final few minutes for Racing Louisville. The players are just going to have to keep pushing themselves in this heat.
Off the service to Prince on the back post, and no one gets ahead on it. Will be a goal kick for Louisville. We will see more Racing Louisville subs. Amina Ekic will come in for Nadia Nadim, and Olafson will come in for Howell.
Sensible as well, because they were coming under pressure, so it just slows the game down. Gives Racing Louisville time to just organize themselves in defense again. And obviously it's fresh legs and fresh minds onto the pitch.
So Nadim does not go 90 in 2 straight, but she comes pretty dang close. Comes out in the 88th minute. And again, Amina Ekic will come in to replace. A lot of heart for Racing Louisville today, absolutely. Ekic, Alozi, tangled. Louisville ball, Naughton heads it forward now. No one has clear control. And finally Houston with a build-up coming. From Hansen to Prince, who trips. Just falls. And now Prince with a foul. Gotta be careful again. Prince does have a yellow card.
No rush to take this, Racing Louisville. I think they're happy with the point, and under most circumstances, you would say absolutely they should be away from home with 10 men. It's a very, very good performance. It leaves them so far off the actual pace of a playoff. Playoff position is 21 points, and with this draw there'd be 14 points. That's 7 points away. What is it, 5 matches left? It's 6 matches left. It's an almost impossibility to make that playoff line.
And you do feel like a team like North Carolina, whether North Carolina makes a playoff or not, definitely they have a run in them, I think. And so there's a lot of teams waiting in the wings as well, and Racing Louisville again just searching for 3 points on the road, down to 10 players for this entire half.
Just their XG is only 0.12, so they really haven't been an attacking force at all. For Houston Dash is now 0.91, so they theoretically should have scored at least 1. And if you look at previous matches for Louisville, their XG hasn't been good at all. When they drew at home to OL Reign, they had 0.4. OL Reign had 2.11. That was the Katie Lund incredible effort, so they got played off the park there. When they lost at home to Portland, they managed just 1, whereas Portland was 1.6. So if every game your XG is worse than the opposition, it's suggesting that you're just not creating enough chances, and you've got to be both very defensively good and lucky, I suppose, if you're going to win from not creating many chances. But they have been defensively good. Give them credit for that.
Well, one thing to note if you're Racing Louisville as we get 5 minutes of stoppage time is that the Dash have scored 3 times in second half stoppage this year. Racing Louisville has not scored this season after the 88th minute. So it would be a first if it happens. A Bam trying to get the touch. Schmidt, there's a shot, and it bounces to Lund, not a strong one.
The quality just isn't there, is it? That final shot, the final pass, whatever it is, the final cross for Houston Dash. It's been in the previous matches and there's been tons of it, but today it just hasn't clicked for Juan Carlos Amoros's team.
Alozi, pass Ekic. Oh, we have a whistle. It's going to go back to Racing Louisville. Bonner. Not a Katie Lund.
It's been very hard to beat. Katie Lund, clean sheet today. Just the one against Washington Spirit, one against OL Reign, in which she faced, as you mentioned, those 12 shots. 2 at home against Portland. One of which the coach did criticize her for, the Hina Sugita one, where she pushed out a Rocky Rodriguez shot and Sugita cleaned it up, and coach Kim Bjorkegren saying he expected his goalkeeper to do better on that situation. But we're nitpicking because in between all of that, she has made a ton of fantastic saves as Katie Lund.
Schmidt. Prince. From Lund all the way back towards the midfield. See if either side has one final push in them. Houston has not given up a stoppage time goal this year. As a Bam commits a foul, DeMello goes down. Bam's a little confused, you can see.
Crowd are not happy, as you can hear. But all in the spirit of a home side trying to get a winner and just not able to break down this resolute Racing Louisville defense.
Bonner. Alozi. DeMello commits a foul. Well, this season has been honestly pretty high scoring in the NWSL. There's only been 6 games that have been completely scoreless in the regular season. This has the potential to be one of them. And again, up a player is Houston. Well, here comes Olozi. Towards the middle, takes a shot, and Lund has it squared.
Sometimes happens that teams lose a player and they become even more difficult to break down. There's just a sense of everybody has to pull together to defend. But if you can get that sort of play from losing a player, why can't you just bring it into your play anyway? If they defended like this, Louisville, game after game, they wouldn't be in the situation they're in. So the players know what they're capable of. The coach has just got to find that switch to get them to defend with more intensity, more self-belief, because they certainly have struggled to keep clean sheets in the past.
A Bam chipped into the stands. Olozi will get the toss, trying to work quickly.
In the previous 10 matches, Racing Louisville just the 1 clean sheet. This would be their 2nd in 11 if they can pull it off.
Sanchez off the hop. Back to Schmidt. Tries a fancy pass. Olozi. Cross, Lund. Dives and covers.
Looks like it's pretty much it time-wise. Well done, Katie Lund and the defense of Racing Louisville. It's been a fantastic defensive performance, but only the 1 point.
Well, again, Houston can live with that single point. We get a scoreless draw between Racing Louisville and Houston. It's still 11 games without a win for Bjorkgren and Racing Louisville. And for Houston, their winning streak is over. It was 3 straight, but they're still unbeaten in the last 4.
Yeah, it's a good run. I mean, if you're a coach, as Rachel Daly looks on, if you are a coach for Orlando, you must be looking at it from Juan Carlos Amoros's point of view and saying 3 wins and a draw in my first 4 matches, that's not bad at all. But certainly XG, it's 0.98, it's 1 for Houston Dash. They should have won this by at least 1-0. They know it. Just a poor day in front of goal. And it happens. And Houston Dash will move on. But they are in 2nd spot, so nothing for their fans to get too worried about.
Racing Louisville survives an entire half down a player. We play to a scoreless draw in Houston, Texas. Again, no score between Houston and Racing Louisville in the final. From Gary Bailey, I'm Maura Sheridan saying so long. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.